So Michael, you are considered one of the world's leading authorities on omega-3 fats and their role in brain function. Can you please explain why these fats are so unique and what their purposes are?
The brain evolved in the sea using these special fats. For 500 million years, there has been no change in the chemistry of the brain, its synapses and its signaling systems. The signaling systems use DHA, the boss of the omega-3 family, and no other molecule has replaced it over 500 million years in the things that enable you to see, to think, move and do the things that are commanded by the brain.
Can you describe your findings in 1972 when you were demonstrated the essentiality of omega-3 for brain function?
Okay, how did we come across the idea that DHA was important for the brain? It was very simple really. What we did was to analyze, in total we studied 42 different mammalian species. And what we found was that in all 42 mammalian species, the chemistry of the brain was identical. Now what that meant to us was that it wasn't the chemistry of the brain that changed, it was the size. Hence the chemistry of the brain had to be satisfied from the food in order for the animal to make a brain. And so we then did studies when we depleted animals of these essential fats that we found in the brain and found that the brain shrank.
What is the relationship between low levels of omega-3 and poor mental ill health in addition to conditions such as dyslexia, ADD, and developmental delay?
The brain develops most of its cell content before birth. So the nutrition of the mother is critically important for the development of the brain in the next generation. Although the brain is built before birth, you can still influence it later in life. There's no question about that. There's been work done in Bristol in England where they've looked at the some 14,000 pregnancies and looked at the relationship between what the mother ate during the pregnancy and the behavioral scores and intelligence of the children that were born 8 years later. And in these 8-year-old children, they found that the adverse behavioral scores were greatest in those mothers who didn't eat any fish or seafood during the pregnancy. And they had, the children at 8 years of age also had the lowest verbal IQ scores. The relationship between omega-3 and mental ill health is really something that's terribly, terribly important. At the beginning of last century, heart disease was pretty negligible. And it rose to be a #1 killer by the sort of 1970s. And we published a book at that time, and in the book we wrote and said that unless people started redesigning the food system so that it served the brain, then we were going to look at something similar to what happened to the heart, but happening to the brain. But in fact now this is really what has happened. Because mental ill health has been rising, particularly amongst children, and it has now overtaken all other burdens of ill health.
So as well as being an eminent scientist, you are a founder of the Mother and Child Foundation. Can you explain a little about the main aims of the charity?
We founded the Mother and Child Foundation because in fact the whole future of humanity depends on the mother. The child that is inside the mother is developing this unique thing we call a brain. And it's that brain that makes us what we are. That's what gives us humanity. And so the aim of the foundation was to try through research and through its activities to establish the causes of mental ill health and establish the causes of brain disorders, particularly the ones that occur before the child is born, things like cerebral palsy, epilepsy and so on, to discover the causes of these disorders so that we can prevent them. And I hope that this enabled us, is enabling us, to get the message across about the supreme importance of the mother and the supreme importance of our brains. It's what makes us different from other animals.